Alright, new Deadpool movie means I gotta go through the posters and determine which one I want to use for this review. This one, I used a simple poster when I reviewed the first movie, but I want to change things up. I adore this poster. I absolutely find this poster to be hilarious, but I'm going to save it for my spoiler review because I will be doing a spoiler review, so I think we're just going to go with this. It's epic enough, and it's not the IMAX poster, which I typically save for my spoiler reviews, so let's get into this. Deadpool 2 is the sequel to the 2016 hit Deadpool. It once again brings back Ryan Reynolds as the Merc with the Mouth, Wade Wilson, and this movie is directed by David Leitch, who directed Atomic Blonde, is about to direct the Fast and Furious spin-off with Hobbs and Shaw, and he was one of the guys responsible for John Wick. He took over the film after the original director, Tim Miller, backed out due to creative differences, and this movie follows Deadpool as he tries to go on a mission to save this kid from a mercenary from the future named Cable, played by Josh Brolin, but he can't do it alone, so he assembles a group of mutants to try to help him in his task, and he calls them X-Force.
Isn't that a little derivative?
You're absolutely right.
Now, the first Deadpool, for me, it was a big surprise because I knew how much Fox really fucked up the character, but they have proven themselves to be on a winning streak with First Class, Days of Future Past, and the Wolverine, even though the Wolverine was not that great. And Deadpool was not only a big surprise when it came out, but it was really a game changer. It allowed Fox to take more risks with superhero movies, especially with last year's Logan. So now, obviously, we got the sequel to Deadpool. Part of me was a little worried that this was going to be a movie that was going to end up shooting itself in the foot because the trailers made a lot of jokes like, don't even make it 3, you killed it, and I'm just thinking to myself, please let this movie be good, otherwise that joke is really going to come up and bite you guys in the ass. And luckily, this movie does succeed. I don't think it's as good as the first Deadpool. There are just a few elements that bugged me this time around, but I'm not going to delve into that quite yet. One thing that should be worth noting, especially when it comes to making a comedy, is that if the original director leaves, it sucks, no question about it, because Tim Miller is one of the reasons why the first movie worked so well in terms of its direction, but it's more based on the writing. If the writing is still just as good and still as sharp as it was in the first Deadpool, then that's really all that matters ultimately, because the first Deadpool and this movie are very much comedies. And the humor, once again, just like with the first movie, works really well. There were a lot of moments in this movie that made me laugh out loud because I didn't see it coming, or it was just such a well-written joke. And yeah, it's definitely to the extreme as the first Deadpool is. But that's not to put down David Leitch at all, who does a fantastic job directing this movie. In fact, I think the action in this movie is actually very well done, even more so than the first Deadpool was. And this is from the same director that made Atomic Blonde, which, a lot of people are kind of up in the air about that movie, but you have to admit the action and the way it's filmed is just phenomenal all around. And while this movie doesn't top Atomic Blonde in terms of action, I think it's better than the first Deadpool, and there were a lot of moments that just made me go, oh! And the cast is once again really good. I was worried this time around that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool would just be a one-note joke, because he kind of is in the comics, but I think he's still charismatic enough to carry it through, and again, the writing is so sharp that I never get tired of Deadpool. Watching this movie, I never had the same reaction as I did when watching the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels, where Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow just turned into a one-note character, and by the time he got to the fifth movie, he just became a shell of his former self. We haven't got to that point with Deadpool yet, and I think Ryan Reynolds, he really was born to play this role, just like Robert Downey Jr. was born to play Tony Stark, Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine, Tom Holland was born to play Spider-Man. Ryan Reynolds just nails it. Now, in terms of the new cast, we have Josh Brolin as Cable, just coming off of the heels of him being Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, and I think he works well as Thanos more than he does Cable. He's badass as Cable, no question about that. There are some great moments with Josh Brolin in this movie, but his role is kind of reduced to what Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the first Terminator, and this is really not me spoiling anything. They really tell you in the trailers that Cable is coming in to kill this kid, and if you saw the end credit scene to the original Deadpool, he mentions flat out that Cable has the ability to time travel, so I mean, that's not a spoiler at all, and if you know Cable from the comics, you know he has the ability to time travel. But still, Josh Brolin's really badass as Cable. He fits the role perfectly. I just think he left more of an impact as Thanos for me. One person that I absolutely loved in this movie was Zazie Beetz as Domino. Basically, her power is just to be lucky, which I love the camaraderie between her and Deadpool. You see a little bit in the trailers where they're arguing back and forth on whether luck is a superpower or not, and it just plays out beautifully in this film. And I'm really glad that this movie just didn't turn into an X-Force movie altogether. I won't say why, because I'd end up spoiling the reason why this movie just didn't turn into X-Force, but I'm just so appreciative that this is still a Deadpool movie first, and then an X-Force movie last. Now for some things that I didn't think made this as good as the first Deadpool. I felt like the pacing was a little off in the third act. With the first and second acts, they're moving at a quick pace, and there was just a point where I'm like, oh shit, we're already at the third act? But when we get to this third act, I felt like it just dragged on for a long time. And this isn't a situation like with The Dark Knight, Civil War, or Infinity War, where I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, it's long, but keep it going. This is a point when I'm watching a movie and going, yeah, I get it. I see what you're doing. Let's just wrap this up already. You are just moving like a goddamn slug, and you kind of need to wrap it up. And also, I thought there were a lot of bad special effects in this movie. Now, when I say bad special effects, I don't mean like they're embarrassingly awful. It's just they're very much special effects. They don't blend in seamlessly with the live action bits, but it's never a point to where it's absolutely jarring. So I don't have much else to say about Deadpool 2. Is it as good as the first Deadpool movie? I personally don't think so because of the reasons that I listed, and another reason is because I think the story in the first Deadpool was actually told in a more clever way, whereas this movie feels very much more straightforward than the first one did. But it's still a damn good time. The humor works well, the cast is great, I love the new characters, the action is a lot of fun, it kicks a ton of ass, and there are a lot of surprises in this movie that I truly didn't see coming, and that I can't say because, you know, spoiler reasons, but I will be doing a spoiler review next week because the movie hasn't even come out yet. So I'm going to give you guys the chance to see the movie, and as of now, I'm going to say worth seeing in your lifetime. If you were depressed by Infinity War, like many of us were, then this is exactly the kind of movie that you're looking for, to just give you that energy and that big fuck yeah feeling. Because as much as I love Infinity War, and I think that movie's the superior one, I never had the true excitement of wanting to go see it again. With Deadpool 2, I absolutely cannot wait to see this again. It's rare that I see a movie during a press screening and have a desire to go see it again in the regular theaters with a mainstream audience, and this is one of those instances where I can't wait to see it again. Oh, and you guys have probably heard this a lot from other people, but please stay for the mid-credit scene. It comes in early enough to where you won't miss it, but you are doing yourself a major disservice by skipping this, because it is, without question, hands down, one of the best, if not the best, mid-credit scene you'll ever see. And that's my review for Deadpool 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. Don't forget to support my Patreon, follow me on social media, and until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you, there's only one.